I deleted all of the dating apps over a year ago and I wanted to talk about it. So today we are going to do a 1 year retrospective. How has the last year plus been? Have I missed the apps? Have I considered re-downloading the apps? Have I been dating in other ways? And would I consider ever going back to the dating apps? I want to get this clear right out of the gate that this is not going to be an overtly negative video. So if you are looking for a dating app teardown, I'm sure there are thousands of videos that you can go watch, but this is not going to be that. There may be some mention of the pitfalls, the shortcomings of dating apps, which I think we're all pretty familiar with at this point, so I don't really want to beat a dead horse. And I would rather talk about how it has been decentering romance from my life, decentering romantic relationships, decentering dating, and just what my experience has been being off the apps, rather than focusing on the really negative aspects of the dating apps. So with that, let's dive in. I got rid of all of the dating apps in November of 2023, and it was actually quite timely because I had just got a new iPhone for Black Friday, and I decided I didn't want to ever taint my new phone with the likes of Bumble, Hinge, and Tinder. So I quite simply never re-downloaded them. Now, I think I technically still have them on my old Android. I have to keep an iOS and an Android for work. So I do still have that old phone and I believe the apps are still technically on it, but my profiles have either been deleted or on snooze mode for like over a year at this point. Now, what precipitated this? I have done a full other video detailing why I stopped dating. I filmed that, I think, in April of 2024. So you can go back and watch that if you're interested, but I don't think it's anything too surprising. And one of my reasons was actually, in fact, dating apps themselves. I think there's a couple buckets to this. One was dating apps and the culture of dating apps and just the culture of modern dating. That was really getting to me. But then the bigger bucket and the more significant piece of it was really just that I was not wanting to date at all. I was feeling exhausted about dating, and even the prospect of being in a relationship felt exhausting. I still think that even though my last relationship had been some time ago, I feel like I really was not myself in my last relationship. And it took me a really long time to actually get to a place where I felt like I had energy again, like I was almost coming back to life. And so the prospect of another romantic relationship didn't feel exciting. It just felt exhausting because my last relationship, I had, been feeling so depleted. And dating is time, dating is work, dating is energy, dating is resources. Dating can be a part-time job. In the seasons of my life where I have been actually actively dating and trying to find a relationship, it legitimately does take 5, 10, 15 hours a week sometimes that you're spending on the apps and sending messages and setting up dates and then going on said dates. And I just was not really in a place where I was up for it, where I wanted to be doing it. So for all of these reasons, I decided to just get rid of the apps entirely, and I have not looked back. So to be clear, in the last year and 3 months, I have never re-downloaded. I have never reactivated. I think I reopened them for one day just to look at something about their UI. UX nerds, if you know, you know. But beyond very briefly reactivating it for UX purposes, I have not set foot on these apps in the last 15 months. And I have to say, it's been absolutely wonderful. Like, I just can't explain how good the last year plus has been not spending my time and energy on these platforms. I think actually it takes some time for you to get away from it and be able to have the benefit of hindsight to really see just how toxic and demeaning and dehumanizing platforms can be. I think it's the same with social media. Sometimes you don't realize how much havoc it's creating in your life until you finally pull the trigger and you delete it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, that was really messing me up. And I think deleting the dating apps was largely that. It took me a few months to be like, wow, I feel so clear-headed. I feel so good about myself. I feel so excited about my life, and I feel so positive about being single. And I just have so much free time. The amount of time that I have been able to spend on my family and my friendships and my hobbies and starting this channel and my work and my career and all of these different things is crazy. Like, I truly feel like a whole new person just because I'm not dating. Just because I am redirecting all of those hours I would be spending sending message after message into the void on a dating app. Now I'm actually feeding that back into myself and my friendships and my family, my hobbies and my dog and all of these other like really rich aspects of my life. So, to put it bluntly, do I have any regrets about getting rid of the apps? Not even for 1 second. It's truly been one of the best things I've ever done. And that makes it really hard to think about whether I could actually ever use them again, despite the fact that I have a lifetime subscription to Bumble. And that was before the Billboard fiasco, so don't cancel me. But I digress. If you are someone who has been toying with the idea of getting rid of the apps, I, to be honest, can't recommend it highly enough, which is kind of sad. And I do understand that that advice is not ideal, because I really do get that if you are someone who still is actively trying to date and actively trying to meet someone, dating apps can feel like a necessary evil in our culture now. It's hard to meet people organically, or it's harder than it was. I think our lives have changed a lot since 2020 as well, and they haven't really reverted back. But just because our lives have shifted pretty significantly, it is that much harder to meet people in the wild. So dating apps can feel like a necessary thing to meet someone. And I think I am lucky in that way. Like, I think I can reflect really positively on the last year or so, because I was not interested in dating during that time. Like, it's not like I was really still craving romance and craving a relationship and I was deleting the apps anyway. It was more that I had intentionally chosen to decenter romantic relationships. And then as a consequence of that, I decided to delete the dating apps. I can totally get that that's incredibly frustrating if you are still very much oriented towards meeting a life partner and you kind of feel like you have to be on the apps. But I will say, I also think it's worth challenging our own beliefs about our need for relationships a little bit. And this took some time for me as well. I know that when I split up with my ex-fiance, that, after taking a little bit of time to recover, I did start dating again, and I was looking to meet someone. I didn't know if I really wanted a serious relationship because my last relationship had been so serious, and I was really questioning if I ever wanted to get married at all. And so I think I was a little bit unsure of what kind of relationship I wanted, but I definitely still did want to date. I wanted companionship. I wanted to connect with other people. I was also relatively new back to Toronto, and dating is like a nice way of just meeting people and going out in the city and doing fun things. So there was definitely an element of that. And I did date for a few months after that other relationship ended, and ultimately just decided this was not what I valued any longer. As someone who previously had been very focused on and very oriented around romantic relationships, I just realized that I was a lot happier single. I felt more at peace single. I felt much happier, much more content. I was much more satisfied with my career and my investment in my hobbies and friendships and other pursuits when I was single than when I was in a relationship. And so it just seemed like a no-brainer. Like, I genuinely, the last year and a half has been one of the happier times of my life. And I think that is in large part because I have chosen to be single. So I don't know. I think there is a lot of benefit actually of just working towards decentering romance in your life in general, decentering the importance of romantic relationships, because I feel like people do rely on romantic relationships so heavily. Like, everyone just wants to meet their person and they want to find the one, and they want to have this one person who is everything to them. Like, not only that they have chemistry with and are attracted to, but this person should also be your friend and your confidant and play all of these different roles in your life. And quite honestly, I've been happier just spreading the love a little bit and not putting so much onus on a romantic relationship to make me happy, but really looking towards myself and looking inward to make myself happy. And if I'm not happy, then having to grapple with the work of being like, okay, then how do I get myself to a place where I am more content with my day-to-day life, where I am happier with the choices I'm making, where I am happier with the life I'm living, you really are having to look inward. And I think that that has definitely been something I did wrong in previous relationships, where I put a lot of onus on my partners and my partnership itself to be the thing in my life that made me happy and gave me satisfaction. And I just don't feel that way like at all anymore. I feel like life is just so good being single. There are so many benefits to it. And I find this so interesting because I feel like no matter how many times you say this, people are so convinced that it's not true, that you're secretly miserable, that you wish you could meet someone. And it's just like, if I wanted to date, I would be dating. If I wanted to meet someone, I think I could. I'm just not interested. And I don't know why this is so hard for people to wrap their head around, or why it's so challenging to some people. Like, I don't know if it's that it challenges something about their own life. Like, I don't care if other people are in relationships. Like, enjoy. I wish you the best. But just for me, that is not something that I am at all interested in. And this isn't because I'm still like devastated over previous relationships or anything like that. No, it's just that I didn't feel any drive to be in a romantic connection with someone. But do I expect this to be the case forever? No. Like, in the last couple months, it has started to shift a little bit, where I've even just been more open to meeting people in other ways. And like, that's something I wanted to touch on as well. I really haven't been dating at all. I haven't been dating in other ways, trying to meet people in real life, you know, joining a pickleball league. Like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not trying to meet people in real life. I've been open to the possibility of like a mutual friend or things like that, but it just hasn't really worked out. I have had some conversations that have started via like DMs, and I have kind of reconnected with some people from my past that I like, not exes to be clear, but just like, you know, old acquaintances or, you know, friends from way back in the day. I have reconnected with some people where I've sort of had that thought of like, like, I don't know, maybe something is there. So there have been those little baby steps, or sort of like those wonderings, but nothing has really ever come of it. And it's just not something I've really actively pursued. But in the last couple months, I can tell that I am becoming more open to it again. And I am becoming more interested in the possibility of dating again one day. I don't think I'll be going and downloading Bumble tomorrow. Like, I can tell you that much. And I guess that brings us to the final part of the video, which is just, would I ever consider going back to the apps after having such a positive experience off of them and having had a pretty negative experience while I was on them? I really struggle with this. I really have grappled with this question because I think the answer is probably yes. I would consider going back to them with a pretty rigid set of requirements to protect my time and make sure that I am dating in the right way and more likely to find people that I'm actually going to connect with. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, I can talk about that a little bit more in a future video, or maybe when I actually do start dating again. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, I already have sort of a set of standards or things in my head of what I would do to make the dating apps a little bit more tolerable, and so that they don't burn me out and I don't feel just exhausted and depleted on them. But that being said, I still don't even really know if I would actually re-download them. I feel very hesitant to, just because the culture on them is so incredibly negative. I really find them so dehumanizing, and I just don't know if I have it in me to go back to that. And so I might give it a try again and see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I think I'm in a place where I'm very happy being single as well. And so if I meet someone, great. But also if I don't, then I'm very happy being single for like the foreseeable future, for like kind of the distant future. I really do just find life really great being single. So I really don't feel a strong urge to go back to the apps. And I think that actually is kind of putting me in a much better mindset and would make using the apps more tolerable, ironically enough. Like, I feel like when I was previously dating, I felt like I needed the apps because I was so set on meeting my person and getting married and settling down. Because when I was dating previously, I felt like I needed the apps. You know, I was so set on dating and dating to marry and finding my person and settling down and all of the things, that I felt like I had to be on the apps. And so because of that forced engagement, it almost made it worse. And now I feel like I could try re-downloading them. And if my experience is not positive, I'll just get rid of them again immediately. Like, I don't think I will have any qualms about just deleting it. So that does feel very liberating, and it makes it feel like my relationship with the apps might be a little bit more positive this time around. So I think it's worth a try. I still think you can meet great people on them. I mean, I have had 2 serious long-term relationships come out of the apps. And so you definitely can meet good people on there, and you can find people who you are compatible with. It's just sifting through a lot to get there. And that can be really exhausting. So even if you just feel like you need a break, you need a mental health break, take it, delete them for a month, see how you feel. See how you feel at the possibility of exploring decentering romantic relationships, at the possibility of maybe you don't need to end up with someone. What would life look like being single? Maybe explore some of those thoughts a little bit too. I feel like I could yap about this all day long, but I'm going to leave it there for now. Please let me know what your experience with the dating apps has been in the comments below. If you've ever taken a break from the dating apps, and if you would ever consider going back, or if you are off them for life. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.